We're coming right. Hi, everybody. Here we are, Nancy Jean's garden. And today in our garden, we have Debbie at
Hello.
Three Shifting Veils. And Debbie is going to teach us a prayer of protection. But before we do that, we're going to let people have a chance to get in the room with us. And I see Linda, and I see Cactus Smithy. And I have no idea where the rest of them are because I only see two. But I'll look on my phone because sometimes what's happening on the outside world on my phone is better. I will tell you, if you're someone who watches me on Sunday, that because of the response to what we did Sunday, Sean, people kept saying, "What's his channel? What's his channel?" And I will post it and run it across the bottom at the end of the show. He did create a YouTube channel. He's already got content up on it, and he's got a bunch of other stuff coming up. And so I want to make sure you get that. If you didn't, if you're one of the people who follows me but doesn't follow politics at all, you can totally ignore this. This has nothing to do with you. And so, how's your day, Miss Debbie?
So far, it's been pretty good. I got to visit with my oldest grandson, so
Oh, very good.
starting out good.
Okay. 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 So there we go. Um, all right. And the grid tribe. Yes. I'm going to show the grid tribe. Yes. What we're going to do is I have it all set up here on the other camera. And there it is. There it is, all straight. And as you remember, this is a grid we built for a client who, when we went through the thing about cards, this is the card we picked, and this is the grid she got. And this grid is called originality. And the frequency of originality, what this grid is about, is supports her capacity for unique and original creations with unlimited possibilities and any moment, all the time. And as I explained to you, the stones we put in the middle was a yellow adventurine donut with a amethyst chevron stone on top of it, and then um, the this little tiny there's a little tiny ring of 8 stones there, and those are apatite. And then I put 8 chrysocolas around it, which are green. When you see them, sometimes it's hard for my let's see if we can get a little bit better. Okay, that's a little bit better view of it. Um, there's this green. It's a darker green. That's a chrysocolla, and then there's kyanite, which is for connecting and bringing new and original thoughts in. And that's, you've got 6 of those, and then she has 6 faceted quartz beads, which are real bright and shiny and pretty, and those match the images on here. This is the blue and green, the inner thing. Then the outer circle is, it looks kind of, it's blue adventuring, and blue adventurines to bring in a lot of helpful information and energy for her. And then she has 2 citrines going for each one of around the rings, between linking together all the energy that's to here. And then there are the 7 stones that these are made out of honey. Hold for a second. I'm sorry, my phone was on. I didn't mean for it to be. These are honey calcite with purple sapphires, and those are sapphires, uh, the crystalline form of a sapphires in there. And those stones are they're like, it says, for energetic, for originality in every moment, and It's as if the center of this burst and sent that energy out. And when you get a grid on the back, you get each of the stones is here and it starts at the center and moves out. And like the yellow calcite combined with the blue with the purple sapphire, yellow calcite means the right use of power to overcome obstacles, and the purple sapphire gives her protection, good fortune, and spiritual insights. And then I put a why I put it on the grid this way. And so those last stones, what I call the pollen stones, the ones that broke away, they are to attract new friends and create a new spiritual life. But like the blue adventurine, that's these 8 stones, those are for true spiritual alignment and wisdom. She gets all that, and also she gets ta-da, a wand. And what you do with the wand, if you've been around my grids, you touch the center. And when I put 2 stones together, it means I want that energy of those 2 stones married. So that's her center stone. And then you go out to your first little ring of stones and you tap and you unite them. And then you go back to the center. Then you go center stone out. Now I'm doing the chrysocolla stones. Then I'm going out. And the next ones I would do is a kyanite, the big ones. And then I do the faceted quartz. And you just go around and you unify all the stones. Now, she gets to pick however she wants to unify those 7 stones. She gets to pick whatever she wants. Every grid comes with a wand, and this particular wand is green adventurine to go with the blue adventurine that's on this. And she's getting a letter of explanation because their sacred geometry key that's in here is there's 1 stone at the beginning, and then there's 6 stones in the kyanites, and then there's 7 stones in these guys, and then all the other stones are 8s or break down to a 7 or an 8. They reduce to that. And 1 stone means beginning, 6 stones mean harmony and appreciation, 7 stones mean wholeness, perfection, and spirituality, and 8 stones are for her to be able to quickly manifest and practicality and organization. And then I send along a little sheet which has the world's worst diagram on how to fire this up, but the words explain it real well. And that's the grid. It started with that, and we ended up with that. And I think it's really pretty.
It is.
So that's kind of that's sort of the closing out of the grid, and that's kind of what you're thinking about when you're building a grid is what is the card saying and what do the stones mean when you say that. So enough. Well, now we're going to talk about another kind of original thinking and uh, coming to original thoughts and creating a better sense spiritually. The way we got here, and you can stop me, Debbie, if at any point I say the wrong thing about what you said, but Debbie's in my garden class. She's learning how to read the Oracle Garden. And we were talking about things, and she said, I have a prayer of protection that I use. Um, and she said, and we were interested because I think after the last few days, we're all understanding we're going to need something to really help us center and come in and protect ourselves to feel more connected to things. So with that, I'm going to let Debbie do her thing and just explain how you are, explain how you came up with all. Just she's
Okay.
just start from it.
All right, I came up with this protection back in the 80s, early 80s. Had a stalker and some other problems, and this prayer was wonderful. I asked my teacher, who was a Rosicrucian, if this was a safe prayer, and he absolutely loved it. And it's worked to me to this day. And I changed it around with today's politics and the situation. Um, I know people feel weird about sending love and light to people like the last administration and everything like that. But there's a purpose for it. There's a protection that protects you. If you create bubbles of love and light,
Mm-hmm.
real strong bubbles that you put so much love and light into, and then within those bubbles, you put like the dictators, the wannabes, the chaos agents. You can name people if you want, or just stack it together like that so it's just worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And you surround it in love and light. Only good can come out of it, and only good can go in it, which means that every time they send negative energy out, it's going to hit that bubble and bounce back on them. You can do threefold, tenfold. This is something you personalize to yourself. But they're learning a lesson. They're learning that everything that they put out negatively is going to hurt them and not the people around them. So
Mm-hmm.
they're learning, but you're also protected because none of that negativity is going to touch you anymore. And you're also lifting yourself up spiritually because you're doing this out of love. It's not a curse and it's not out of hate. It's out of love for
Mm-hmm.
yourself and everyone around you. So that was basically what I was talking about, was that I just spent time just building that bubble and asking creator to just strengthen it. And then I placed them in there visually. And then I just said the prayer. Um, okay, I get nervous. So I go, I ask the creator for bubbles of love and light. May they be strong, may they be bright. All dictators, wannabes, and chaos agents are placed within. The energy they send out will be brought back to them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can just add whatever you want, threefold, tenfold, or whatever. And, just visualize that and put that energy out there. Now, something else I have done that I didn't mention in the class is
Mm-hmm.
I went a step further with the most benevolent outcome that
Mm-hmm.
we're doing now, and so I've added with that one. Um, I request the most benevolent outcome for the hearts and minds of all beings to be filled and surrounded in love, light, and empathy. And I do that because if everybody is so filled in love and light and empathy, you can't
Mm-hmm.
harm somebody because you're going to feel their pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something that I recently, when I learned about most benevolent outcome prayer, that's something that I added to it also now.
Yep. And so that's your whole, that's what you say is the whole prayer there.
Yes. I mean, you can word it any way. That's just the way I came up with it for me.
Mm-hmm.
The basic thing is to send love and light, send it out, and then also make those bubbles of protection, and then place the ones that are causing all the problems in those bubbles. And you're
Yeah.
doing it out of love. So no harm will come back to you.
And one of the things that I read today, there's an author that occasionally she has these little free writing workshops, and you take a week and you get on every day, and she's got keywords she wants you to think about, and she reads a short poem or something to trigger you off, and then she says, write something, just write a few paragraphs. I've always found it just a delightful way to do that, and I like it because it's somewhat guided and I don't have to think the words myself. But her name's Nadia Coburn, and Nadia sent out a letter. Um, Nadia sent out a letter today that said she's planning something else. I have to go read it more carefully because I didn't get all of it. But one of the things she talked about was, oh, she'd gone on a retreat to Panama. So she was out for like 2 or 3 weeks, away from news, away from media, away from all of it. And she walked back into this chaos. And she said, I was just overwhelmed. And, she talked about monitor the amount of media you watch a day. You don't want to be uninformed, but you don't want to get caught in their fear trap. And she talked about that. And she said that one thing, she was getting into that kind of a spiral, And she talked to a friend of hers who's involved in politics. And she's like, how can you do that? And the woman said, do something positive about whatever you think you're afraid of. Because as soon as you do, that action alone will help release you and will help you feel better. And um, one of the things she talked about was checking your own voting records to make sure you are registered. You know, finding a friend who, making sure they're registered. If they're not, how can they get registered? How can you help them do it? Anyway, she had a whole list of things. And sometimes like in your case, it's saying the prayer and sending that energy out there. That's a movement that can really help us. So can making some kind of positive change to protect us.
I do a lot of earthing too. When I start getting really anxious, or
While, yeah.
I go outside and I spend time, I walk around. I have chickens, and I have one that just loves to be held, and she'll run to me. And I'll just hold her up against my heart, and I'll just walk around, and just being around the plants and the trees, and
Mhm.
and I have my a cat and a dog when I come in, I cuddle with, and it seems to ground me and help me when I feel like everything is getting a little overwhelming. But I
Mhm.
found nature really helps a lot.
And this is a comment that came in. I absolutely agree with. I do also practice bubbles of protection. And then I got some compliments. Somebody said that the grid was lovely. And
Beautiful.
Cactus Smithy, I love the grid. So peaceful. Reminds me of spring, summer, and apricots. And there are a lot of apricot colors in there, which is kind of fun. Let's see. And guys, if you don't have more questions, I got nothing else.
Now, we do need right now to really surround President Biden with
Mm-hmm.
elder protection. We really need to send him a lot of love and light.
Yeah, because he's at the center of the country you live in, guys. You know. Oops. Me, me, me. And yes, we do. We need to surround him, and you need to surround yourself with some healthy energy. Like you said, go out and ground, go out and hug a chicken. Something I can't do in my neighborhood.
Hug a tree, and don't forget to ground yourself in Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Just do your grounding and do your own shield of protection. I
Right.
was taught a prayer about when you do your grounding, and then you connect with the Creator, and then you have a shield of protection placed around you that only good can come to you and only good can come from you. You know,
Right.
and it really works, and it really helps settle things.
Well, I had when I was teaching the garden, the first when it first come out, and I had a lot of people in it. Every person that took that class um, was given the violet flame in written form. You know, about going to Zadkiel and and the other ascended master Saint Germain and his little crowd that come in, and they swoop through the violet flame, and they sweep it. The prayer has them sweep up all negative energy from every thing that could possibly be in your house, and then they go up to heaven. They go up to, well, wherever the Christed white light is. It's sort of like the laundromat for bad energy, and it takes it all up there, runs it through the cycle, and then it brings the energy back. So you're not just losing energy out of your house, you're getting more energy in. And the story was this woman had seen that come through when she got her little pamphlet of how to work with the garden. And she was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But she didn't do anything with it the first few weeks. About the third or fourth week, she decided, well, I'll just read it because I've got time here before the class. So she read it, and then she looked around and she thought, oh, the sun must have come out because it looks brighter in here. And then a friend came over later that afternoon, and she looked around with her and she said, did you change the curtains? Did you change the blinds or your lighting in here? It's so much brighter. And she thought, it really actually is something there was dampening down the ability of light to enter her world. So she went around her whole house and she read that prayer in every closet and everything she could think of. She just used the prayer to the hilt, and she wrote me a lovely email telling me all about how it had completely brightened up her house. And she said, I've been working with things, just playing around. She said, I had no idea I was drawing in the kind of energy that I was drawing in. She said, but as soon as I went around and got rid of it, I was like, whoa, this has really changed things. So, your protection, people should not forget that. Don't take it for granted that you asked for the protection of the universe once and it's going to be there every day, all the rest of the way along.
Got to strengthen it all the time, just like your phone and everything. It's got to be charged.
Yep. You got to recharge them, get them set up. And Tammy Jackson agrees with you. Being in nature is the closest to heaven that you can be on earth, and that's true. That's why I go out and visit Hogarth every day, my ley line tree. Of course, ley lines are all moving and changing, and well, we can feel the earth energy changing. And of course, we're coming up to 8/8 Lionsgate, and Dorothy's going to be on the show that Danny and I do, Dorothy Morgan, the astrologer, because there's a bunch of astrologic things that started around the 7th of July that have had a lot to do with this Lionsgate. And also I want to say this, Perseids, the um, the meteor shower that comes in every August. This year it's supposed to be spectacular because it's a lot closer to us than normally is. They've actually had in the last week a couple of meteors show up in the middle of the day that were caught on cameras in Washington, D.C.
I saw that.
And so there's a lot of the heavens saying, look up, pay attention to us. And if you've never seen a meteor shower, it's really, you have to look quick and you can't blink. But it's a lot of fun, and this year apparently it's going to be spectacular.
I have two more trees that have gotten burls all over them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
See,
weren't there last year.
the energy's up. The energy's up. It's changing for us. Oops, died it. And anyway, if nobody has any pressing questions and they're just not popping up, I think you informed us very well about your prayer. And I thank you for agreeing to come on because
Okay.
this has been a really short show if we base it.
I'm sorry. It's just a very
No,
simple prayer that I've always it's worked for me for so long.
I don't see having to drag things out. If we can say something quick and clean and just get on with it. I
I try to
totally.
keep things simple.
Oh, Sharon Sipes says hi.
Hi.
Where'd she go? Oh, here she is. No, that's not it. Ah, hi, three shifting bills. So you've now been greeted by the greeter of all greetings, from because she's one of the best.
Yes, she is.
And Tammy's right about this. There's something to be said for the intensity of the energy starting around the eclipses.
Yeah. There's definitely been a change.
Mm-hmm. And we just have to, and we need to work however well we can to ex- okay, I got a question. Before I get to the question, because I want to give it due, um, we are all responsible. If we allow ourselves to become buried in fear, then we will, then we become useless to the universe because our energy is shut down. You can't work with light and you can't work to change things. Doesn't mean, and I tell you the other thing is acknowledge the fact that this stuff's freaking you out. Because the worst days I have or have had in my life is when I refuse to acknowledge that something was causing me pain and fear. And then I'm going to answer Rosie's question. Do I see an outcome for your? Okay.
Yeah, I finally got to where it's silly. It makes me smile when I feel like something negative, a thought or something comes in. I just acknowledge it because trying to
Mm-hmm.
something, it won't go away. So I start doing that na 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 na, hey, goodbye.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Hi.
you're there, now go.
Okay. This is for Rosie. Um, yeah, it's not fair. You're sick, and you've been trying to take care of your health and watch over what this ever is. It's a big blow to you right now, and you're trying to absorb. And the outcome is it's going to be some kind of tough times here. You're going to have to cooperate and work with a lot of people, and it's going to piss you off, but you're going to fight it because you're going to be the Queen of Swords. You're going to fight it. And this one to me is you've got a good doctor, and he's going to be very useful to you. So I think it's going to have a good outcome, but it's a split decision right now, and a lot of it is how well you can muscle up your own ability to want to fight it, and not don't listen to all your friends who say they saw something on WebMD about it. Uh, look for the signs yourself. Don't trust other people. And we got one more question showed up. Oh, I'm going to lay 5 cards for the end of the year. This is about as good as when the Tim Walter, who does house clearings in England, he clears out negative energy from houses and teaches you how to move. If your house happens to be built on a ley line, he has techniques to divert it out of the house. And then it's not that those ley lines are not good or bad; they're just extremely intense energy. So it's like, do you want to sit on top of a burning fire all the time? I mean, really? So what we're going to do is, I can tell you, I did a 3 card on Joe Biden last night, and win, lose, or draw, he comes out great. I mean, he's doing fine. So, okay, universe, in 5 cards, tell me what we as a collective need to know for the rest of the year. Well, that's funny. Sometimes you want cards to do a lot more than I think they can.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Picked up a card.
what'd you get?
Firm foundation.
Yep, time to really build our own foundations. Okay. What it says is right now we're in illusions and delusions. We just don't know which way is up, but we're sick of this. And this may be the death to the media. We want to get in with good people who are calm and collected. And we're all learning we have to be our own magician. We're not going to have someone roll in and help us. Now, this card is the 5 of Rods, which is those guys in the middle of the false fight. This means that by the end of the year, a lot of the false fighting is going to be over. The way I would read this is we each need to decide to take responsibility for our own life, and and come to terms with it, and not dwell on this bad stuff. And it's up to us. It's nobody's going to come help us. And I had one more question. How do I find a ley line near my house? Okay. Well, first of all, Jen, Miranda, it's LEY line. So if you look it up, you need to put LEY line. And I don't know where you live, but I can tell you how I found mine. I kept saying, I want to find one, I want to find one, or I want to find one in the Dallas area. And there's no good real mapping. I mean, there's in England, man, they actually have a Google site. And when people think they found a ley line, they can enter it on this Google site so you can go find it. And it's really cool. And you can go out and check your dowsing rods or whatever. But what I used, and I was like, how do you find a ley? How do you find a ley line? Well, an architect who works spiritually with architecture. He told me, and he lives where there's lots of trees, like Minnesota. And he said, what you do is you go out into a wooded area and you look for a tree that has a lot of burls on it. You know, burls are like those lumps that kind of grow out that almost look like tumors on trees. And he said, you stand around that tree and you walk around that tree. And if you keep looking around you, you'll see a straight line to another tree that also has a lot of burls on it. And now, see, that works great if you live where there's forests. In Dallas, you're lucky if you have 2 trees on the block. But so I kept saying, I'm never going to find a ley line tree. And all of a sudden, one night, Cecil showed up and said, you've got a ley line tree. And I went, really, where? And he said, you'll see it soon. And it was last winter. And let's see if I can pull up its picture. And so I went out and I went looking around. No, I don't have it still on my slides. And I looked out and there was this tree, and we'd had kind of a really quick frost, like a frost that was there, a heavy, really cold snap early in the morning. And then by 11 o'clock in the afternoon, I mean, it was all gone away. And I looked, and I live in a place that we share our driveway with a golf course. Don't get all impressed. I don't golf. It's where I could find a place to live. And there's a big green swath that the golf course takes care of. And so the lawn's always nicely mowed. And I looked out there, and there's this whole line of trees. And then there's a creek bed, and there's a lot of dense trees down there, but they're little tiny trees that grow around creeks. And I looked, and there in the lawn was this yellow stripe. It was like a straight line. And it went right underneath this tree and came out the other side. And I looked at the tree, and this tree is so covered with burls. I mean, it has so many. And I'm like, why didn't I see them before? And I could hear the elementals that follow me around going, tee hee hee. So I went and I looked at it, and honest to God, at the time the yellow stripe was about 1.5 feet wide. And if I stood right in the middle of the yellow stripe, it had so much energy in it. It was almost disorienting. And so I came and I got my handy dandy little dowsing rods. And if you haven't seen these before, you ask, okay, dowsing rods, what's yes? Okay, get back out in the neutral. What's no? It spreads out the other way. So I walked across the dowsing. Leaned against the tree and said, is this a ley line? And mine went, and I was like, yes, thank God. And as Cecil has told me, we had to draw you a damn line. So I'm not good, apparently, at spotting them. Okay. And so that's, Jen, the other thing is, I don't know where you live, but you can Google ley lines US, and there are parts that have broken out and people have done things. There's some big things called dragon lines, and there's one that goes from the West Coast to Holy Hill in Wisconsin. And that sent Scott one day on a whole little trip up there to see if he could find it. Now, I will tell you one thing about these sorts of things. The ley lines are old, ancient lines. And in America, a lot of them were developed or are part of Native American sites. And you can find them by going to a place that's considered a sacred space there. A lot of churches ended up building, not inadvertently, they put their church on top of what used to be a holy site so they could kind of assume that people will come back to where they're used to. And they did that for that reason. But it's a holy site, and the universe wants those sorts of things there. So, and Jen, where in the desert do you live? There's a lot of Native American stuff out in the desert. So I'd start by Googling ley lines in my area. There's a lot of interest in them right now, and people are really trying to follow them. Okay. Ronnie got a job. I'm going to get back to you, Jen, with the comment you just put. Can I get a reading for next week's new employee orientation? Ronnie got a job. Good. It's Ronnie or Ronnie, and I never remember if it's Rice or Ronnie or just the word Ronnie. But I'm sorry for not saying your name right. But see what you get about next week's new employee orientation. You're in a period of change, so it's a good time to do it. Oh, you got some great things. Oh, this is lovely. Okay. Yeah, you're out of that job you really didn't like. But you're into whole new beginnings. Ace of Wands couldn't pick a better card for new beginnings. It's going to go much more smoothly than you anticipate. There's going to be none of that kind of petty politics. I think you're falling in with a group of people who have the same mindset you do. You are going to find some people to partner with during the orientation, and that's going to make you feel very strong. And this is your job, girl. You got the star. This is the one. So I take that as I would gladly accept that. I don't think I ever had a new job orientation like that. Of course, I ended up working for myself because I realized I'm the only person I would listen to. And then Jen, California, Arizona, and Mexico border. Girl, there are so many ley lines there. Go into the Native American history around your area and find stuff. That's where you're going to find it. And you will not walk up and find Winchester Cathedral in the middle of your ley line like you would in England, but you'll find something just as magnificent. Sharon, how could I not read for you? Okay, we're going to do a general reading for Sharon's site. In the universe, I'm telling you, good news only. This woman works hard.
Yeah.
She works hard keeping all of our shows going so we can help people and learn from them, and brings Sharon's keeping our groups going is how I meet lovely people like Debbie that want to
He's
spread that.
everywhere.
Right, she's everywhere. She's tired right now, though. You've been fighting with someone. They've been trying to distract you from your goals. Don't let them. That's wrong. Um, you really want to go on and start something new for yourself. You want to ride on and have a new adventure. You want that night kind of energy in your life. And it's actually going to come from your family, which sort of surprises you because I know you've had a lot of things happening in your family and you're kind of over it. You really want to find a new beginning, Sharon. That's what the cards are telling you. That's where you're going to. I don't want you to leave us, but do what you got to do. And that's a very this when tens show up, tens mean that it's completed. You've done what you can do. It's time for you to move on. It's time for you to go on. And it says it's going to be something that comes out of your family. And I know you've had a lot of health problems. And this is true. I believe new time for endings, new beginnings. That's why we are literally being rebooted. You know, and check and make sure what you're plugged into, you're really plugged into. That'll help. Let's see. And somebody wants to thank you for all your support. Oh, and well, that's fine. If we're your family, then we're going to support whatever you want to go ahead and do. We think that's wonderful. And in the other card, the other thing the Six of Cups can mean is you're going to go back to something you always enjoyed doing, and you want to go back to that.
I couldn't imagine ever being on here without Sharon Sight being on here.
I know. Can I get a reading regarding current health challenges, Linda? Okay. I'm going to ask if you're getting the guidance you need to help. Okay, you're going to, whatever this challenge is, you're going to be out of it clearly by winter. But I'll tell you what I see is you're taking a more aggressive stance and standing up for yourself and trying to get your message across. I think you've had a doctor who wasn't being totally upfront with you about what was going on, and you may need alternative therapy. And by that, I mean you may need to go find your own ways to deal with it. But by winter, you're going to have found what you need to find, and you're going to be ready to roll. So don't get discouraged. You've had some discouraging news, and there are ways for us to find things for ourselves. I was having a certain problem, which I won't go into great detail because people might be eating their lunch. And I was rolled over in bed one day and I saw this woman about what can we do to help this problem. And she talked about that there's a lot of work being done with mushrooms. So I've got in this whole thing watching all about mushrooms. And I learned about lion's mane mushrooms. And I was having a digestive problem. And this stuff really, really helped. Now, this has worked for me. I researched it all before I took it. And I learned how to get the right kind of stuff. You have to get the extract from the mushroom. Not, you just can't go grind up the mushroom. I don't know how they extract it, but there's a difference. I looked all that up. And it really helped me. I mean, I was like, my doctor was like, well, the pills we have that help with this, they kind of help half the time. And I'm like, I can't have help half the time. I want to be able to leave my house. So now I can leave my house all the time, which is sort of a threat to the greater Dallas area. Okay, one last thing I'm going to show you. This is my son's new open 3 or 4 days. Talks about politics. It's CLSB Politics, and that it's Sean's YouTube channel. But if you would like to go over there and just look at what he's talking about, that would be very helpful, because he was on my channel, and he'd been on my channel one other time. And 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was talking with Andre Carr, and he said, Nancy, I'd like to find a political person I could bring on. That's personable. That seems nice. And I want to talk about polling and some of the more mundane things about campaigning. And so he and Sean started exchanging information, and he went on Andre's show. And I don't know if you guys understand kind of how we look at the metrics when we're doing a show, but Andre has somewhere near 16,000 members. I mean, not members, subscribers to his channel, which means when he puts out, I'm doing a show, just like y'all get my community stuff at shows. And he, so Sean got on and he said, well, how many do you expect? And Andre said, oh, I get about 7,000 to 8,000 views a show. Andre's very good. And I watch his shows. So anyway, he got on with Andre and he talked his stuff. And I looked to see how he'd done, because I know how to look at the numbers. And at that point, he it had been viewed by more than 20,000 people. Well, that's 4,000 more than Andre has on his channel. That's a lot of liking and sharing. That's when we tell you, if you like a show we do, share it. Don't share this one. This one's so weird. You can share it for Debbie's sake, but my part. But anyway, Andre, and so Sean talked to Andre, and Andre was over the moon. I think last night when we looked, it's over 30,000 people have seen it now. And Andre told him, you need to have your own channel, which is something I'd been telling him, and he talked about it, but it's like, oh, sure, one day I'll do my channel. Anyway, he's done it now. Yeah, Proactive Astrology is Andre's website. He's done it now. He's got his own channel, and his shows are very short. They're not like mine. They don't go on and on and on. And he's doing a whole series on 2025 that reported what the Republicans want to do to us. He's breaking it down into chunks so you can hear it, because Sean said it's only the second book he's ever read that made him have nightmares in his life. He's almost 50 years old. So he was like not happy. I mean, he didn't like that. So he's been doing that. He did a show introducing, so you want to run for office, what's the first things you need to do? That was his first show. It's really good. And it kind of tells you what you need. And so I'm just telling you, go over there, give the kid a chance. He's not a kid. He's 50 years old. He has been doing this for 20-something years. But he carries an enormous amount of knowledge. It's all the stuff I don't want to talk about. So I'm so delighted to have readers. I think he's going to be on with Sheila sometime this week. And I know he's got an appointment to be on with Linda on Friday, Linda G. So I'm like, thank God, because now they won't call me. They used to call me when they didn't understand things happening in the political world. And I was like, I got out of that world for a reason. I think y'all are seeing really right now exactly, if you're looking at the news, why I got out of that world. Anyway, I'm going to go watch Delightful Fun TV after
and thank y'all for listening, and hopefully this will resonate with people.
Yeah, and Debbie will be back when we come up. I stopped my camera. That's not
Don't leave me.
Yeah, don't talk, Debbie. Okay, here's the grid we built, and a lot of you did. You helped me pick the honey calcite over it, and
that is pretty.
The ruby sapphires, and the purple sapphires, and the other things. And it's a real pretty grid. I think I've shown it to her. She's seen a picture of it. It's a lovely, and it looks like something that says burst out, go be original. So anyway, that's how grids work. And if you're interested in a grid, I am still doing grids. Not guaranteeing I'll do yours on the show, but and I'm still evaluating whether to do my thing on sacred geometry and things. I've got to decide. But
thank you so much for letting me share my prayer.
Oh, thank you for showing up and sharing that with us, because there's so many ways, and we get so caught up in doing our stuff just to get from here to there. And here's one. Thank you, Nancy Jean. Debbie, come again, Debbie. They love your energy.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll say goodbye. I'm trying to put my dowsing rods where I keep them, where they're safe, and I know they are, not wandering. And I will see all of you later. Good luck on finding your ley lines. Talk to you later. Bye, Debbie.
Bye.